Hello, I'm Casper. I'm going to be talking more about audio localization and specifically using AudioMoths that don't have any time synchronization to them, and so trying to find ways to get around that and to do it automatically without having to label the vocalizations yourself. Each of these different steps introduces more error as well, and so there's more error to the localization. My context is in New Zealand, and I'm working specifically with the primary target species is the korimako, whose vocalization is here. In New Zealand, we have a national monitoring scheme where the Department of Conservation revisits each of these blue points each 5 years and collects a variety of ecological information. Among that is passive acoustic monitoring and point count data. The point counts have been more valuable because from them the people can estimate a minimum number of individuals for each species, whereas the passive acoustic monitoring data has only been able to be used for presence-absence. So what I've been looking at is some way of using localization to bridge this gap and be able to move towards using the passive acoustic monitoring as a better proxy for abundance. So my study site is a 9 microphone array with about 100-meter spacings in a local regenerating forest. And the spoiler is here. I try to localize the vocalizations in space and then use some kind of estimation to get from that to an estimate for the minimum number of individuals. So here's a video of sped up of 5 minutes of audio data where you can see the grid attempting to estimate the position of each vocalization. They're very large, fuzzy clouds, sometimes with 20 or 50 meters of uncertainty to them. And yeah, it's noisy data and they're quite far apart, so there is just a lot of uncertainty. So the main key here is that in order to do time difference of arrival, we can't simply classify the full image or even the box of the vocalization. We have to classify down to the mask level of each vocalization. And the approach to doing this rests largely on synthetic data generation. There's a framework that I've built, you can access it here. I'm not sure if it will work for everybody, but ask me if you'd like any help using it. Essentially, it relies on taking high-quality samples of vocalizations, isolating them from the background noise as best as we can, and then recombining those with background noise samples in various different ways to create synthetic soundscape data. And the synthetic soundscape data comes with pixel-level species labels because it's been created artificially. So from this, this is a way of essentially reducing the manual labeling effort and also enabling training classifiers with very highly specific labeled data. So we take this synthetic data set and train a framework that uses 2 models. The first model is image segmentation model, and this simply segments the vocalizations without identifying the species. So it's a single class image segmentation model that gets fine-tuned on simply vocalization only. We take those segmented vocalizations and use them next to fine-tune BirdNet as a classifier to identify their species. And then we can take from nearby microphone streams similar looking vocalizations of the same species, associate them, and attempt to localize. I have done some ground truth verification of this using a triangular array that was synchronized using manual clapper, and me walking around with a speaker playing bird sounds. And the system was able to fairly accurately find my original location a lot of the time. Another thing that's interesting to note is that adding the mask classification, the mask segmentation model, improves the downstream classification task. So it gives I think it gives the classifier a more specific target for what exactly to classify, and that improves its performance. This is a visualization of the classifier's embedding layer, showing it separating out various different native New Zealand bird species. So here's the framework doing inference over the 9 microphone array and segmenting and classifying each note of each vocalization, and then trying to associate similar looking ones between the different microphones. You can see the group 1 in red is a motorbike driving below the array. And the final result of this is a 3D localization grid of estimated positions, and we can use this to further estimate the minimum number of individuals. So it's quite a slow algorithm. I've only run it on 5 minutes of the data so far, but in that 5 minutes we estimated a minimum number of the 12 of the korimako, the third one, and some of the other birds in the array too. Hopefully we can use this to take large passive acoustic monitoring data sets from grid arrays and turn them into more valuable data for ecological modeling. And that's what we're looking at next. Thank you for listening. The rest of the code is here, and ask me if you have any questions or would like to use it. I think we might have a couple minutes if there's any burning questions. Yeah? Yeah, so the grid needs to be close enough to be able to hear all the animals, but it's not important. Like was said, it's not critical what the positions of the microphones are, as long as you know those positions exactly. It's actually slightly better for the maths if the microphones are in a more organic shape. If they line up in perfect lines or in a perfect plane for the 3D, it means that you lose some information. So just approximately equal spacing, yeah. Yeah, I think this should work for anything that makes sounds. It's localizing cars driving past the array, so it can potentially do underwater too, although I'm not sure. Yeah, like Killen said, you can't do chorusing animals, so any like cicada or something that makes large continuous noise, you can't use it for that.
How does it do with topography based on the last presentation and some of those challenges?
Yeah, so again, as long as you know the exact position of the microphone and its elevation as well, you can localize just as well. If there's topography, you can end up with more echoes from the sound, which is why time difference of arrival can be a slightly less perfect metric, and using the other method, correlating the two signals and finding the maximum average point of correlation like that works better for that because you avoid getting distracted by echoes off of hills or something. Thank you.